Hold on, sit down, and have a notepad ready because the show's about to begin for the Advanced E-Commerce Podcast. No fluff, no basics, all six-figure strategy with your host, Daniel Dayette.
A little bit here, we've been talking about what's been going on in the recent world events, and I hope you're still continuing to mail. I think I talked about in the last episode why that's important for your deliverability and why you should just obviously stay in touch with your list for altruistic reasons like maintaining that know, like, trust. Today's episode I wanted to talk about another thing. We're seeing labor shortages, and obviously with these economic times people are laying people off and revenues aren't quite where they are in quite a bit of niches, and so in light of those circumstances, you might need to step in and take over for somebody who normally would have done your email marketing for you. And sometimes that means trying to send mailings when, you don't have a lot to write about. Maybe you're not feeling creative or whatever. And there's been some winners that have been sent in the past. And I don't mean necessarily that they have to be conversion rate winners, although that's a great idea if you have a niche like health or food that's still selling or an essential service. But even if you have a past educational mailing that did well, let's talk about the guidelines today for how to mail a list or repurpose an email, and some basically simple do's and don'ts of repurposing emails. So first of all, you should never repurpose an email exactly as it was before, especially within the 45 to 60 day window where subscribers are kind of likely to remember that email going out and think you're just accidentally resending by mistake, and that obviously makes you look unprofessional. The second thing is that when you do repurpose them, you need to change the subject line, even if it's just slightly by a digit or by a word or something like that. Otherwise, Gmail might group it with the original, unless the original is really, really old, and it'll look like a duplicate done by mistake. And it'll get low opens and, basically won't serve those people. Third thing is you want to reword or even improve the existing email if you can, and that can sometimes mean rewriting the intro piece especially, because obviously when you rewrite those, you have a chance to sort of maybe even connect it to the world events and then have the useful information below, whether that be a recipe or whether that be a fitness exercise or whatever the thing was. There are 3 or 4 types of emails that you might want to repurpose. The first one is a high converting email. I often reuse those every 60 to 90 days. You always want to check your footer, logo, links, and ensure that those things are still on brand, that things haven't changed since the last time you used it. Tweak the subject line, even if that means adding an emoji or something. And I personally rewrite that subject line if you can for either drama, intrigue, or suspense. Unless the original one got a decent open rate, then of course maybe just keep it as is and, like I said, slightly tweak it. Next part is the high opener emails. If a subject line did get a high open rate, and it's just one of those emails that people seem to enjoy, then, use the same or super close subject line, but maybe obviously just tweak the angle, maybe try a better link, a bigger promise, etc. High click emails, I often look for those ones that got the 5 to 7, maybe even 10% click rates if you have those. And maybe even just tweak the copy or the subject line. And the last part, of course, the high value emails. Not every email is designed to make a sale. Some of them are just the know, like, trust ones. Like on the last episode, we talked about Seinfeld emails. If you send emails out that are engaging and interesting, and once in a while you send something that's just designed for value or is designed for connection, I'll give some examples of those that are really powerful. So, obviously guides and walkthroughs can be really handy. So can telling a personal story, even if it's not going to sell anything. And even if this personal story has nothing to do with your business. For example, I think I mentioned, not sure if I mentioned on the last episode, this one guy told a story about how his mom was particularly rough on him. And basically in that he told the story of what his home life was like. And it had nothing to do with what he sells for copywriting. But I found, like, for myself, I was reading this, and I felt myself getting to know this person more personally. And even though I personally hadn't experienced what he had, I felt a connection to him. And I think that's super important in today's sort of transparent society, where we're trying to get that connection via this digital medium we call the internet. So the law of reciprocity says if we consistently give value to our subscribers, they're going to feel indebted to us. They're going to feel like, wow, this person's really helped me out. And this even works in the offline world. I remember one time I had this 1991 Civic that I was having a lot of fun rebuilding and playing with, because that's one of my passions is cars. And it was really weird. One day this car just randomly wouldn't start, or took forever to start. So I thought to myself, you know what, we're finally at the stage here where, like, in my life I don't feel like I should have to do certain types of repairs. And it looked like I might have to replace the gas tank, because that's where the fuel pump is. And for this particular car, that would mean lowering the gas tank off the bottom of the car, and that requires jacking up the rear end, and it's a lot of work and kind of gets messy if you get fuel all over yourself. So I thought, I'm going to call up one of the local Honda shops that's highly recommended and just ask him. Now this guy, and I don't even mind plugging him actually, is Paul Carter Auto. He actually, over the phone said, hey, I want you to pull your carpet back on the right side. I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, see that light blinking on the carpet when you turn the key on? He said, how many blinks are you getting right now? I said, I believe it's blinking about 6 times, pausing and then blinking 6 times. Now remember, this is a car that was before the fancy diagnostic readers and the OBD2 systems. And he says, yeah, you know what? You just need to go down to a local parts store and pick up a relay and replace the starter relay. The EFI fuel relay. Just replace that one piece and, you'll be good to go. Well, so I call up Napa, get the piece, throw it in there, fire the car up, and no problems. Never had to replace any of that stuff. And I remember, the next time that I was having a major problem with the car, the first place I called was was Paul Carter, because, here was a guy who could have soaked me, could have asked me to come in there, bring the car in, charge me double what that part goes for. And instead, what did he do? He helped me out on the phone, because he also has a passion for these particular models of cars. And I'm a big fan of Civics, especially the 80s and 90s Civics. So either way, that's kind of how the law of reciprocity works, right? We're going to shop with people who help us and take good care of us. So back to email, when you're sending those emails out, whether it be a Seinfeld personal connection type email, or whether it be genuinely just helping people out. And, if you're in the travel space right now, the world's not traveling, but it's still a great opportunity for people to explore destinations that are on their bucket list, and maybe even show people, hey, you know what, there's some really cool YouTube channels where you can virtually explore areas in your own home until we can travel again. Or, hey, you know what, while we're in this period of no traveling, here's some different things people are doing in the travel space, or places that are going to be a lot more affordable when things come back online. There's probably a ton of different things that a person can discuss with that list and continue to provide value and get them ready for when the travel season opens back up again. And even give them constant updates of, some of the areas that are showing promise, certain regions that have finally battled and gotten over this bug the world experiencing. But anyways, don't reuse these educational emails if they didn't get at least a 18 to 20% open rate. But if you saw users getting good value out of something, it's always worth reusing those pieces, and it saves you a ton of time and energy in rewriting things. It could save you some staffing hours if that's a concern for you. But at the end of the day, repurposing emails is a great way to save time, save money, and continue to mail that list, because right now, things could return back to normal in a month, maybe 2 months. But in the meantime, if that 60 to 90 day window doesn't stay engaged, you could see drops in your deliverability. So whatever it takes, just keep mailing those people. It'd be great to stay connected with them and give them tips to survive through this storm. Tell them that you're still around, you're still kicking, you're still in business, your brand's still out there, and you'll be back in service soon. Quick, one of the other things that I wanted to mention is that obviously we are on Instagram. I've been posting some neat tips there. and we're going to be posting some tips on the Facebook page, which is Mailer Skills, and I've also posted some YouTube videos that are just kind of candid, real quick little things on the Mailer Skills YouTube channel. So check us out there, and check out mailerskills.com. And don't forget that on Facebook, I believe, we'll be launching a completely free course, 100% free, where I generated $52,000 in 3 days with a special email formula. It normally goes for anywhere from $47 to $97 in my different funnels, and because of this situation in the world right now, it's completely free. So check that out.
If you like what you hear, subscribe to the podcast, share the episodes, and join our list at mailerskills.com.